1 week from now, we'll be back in the Woody Hayes Athletic Center talking to Ohio State about Michigan. This week, they want to talk about Minnesota, but all we're asking is questions about Minnesota that help determine whether they can beat Michigan next week. So Nathan Baird from cleveland.com along with Stephen Means and Andrew Gillis. I'll start with you, Stephen. What is the thing that Ohio State needs to accomplish this week? We're not talking about injuries. Obviously, they need to get healthy. They've got some guys out there that are banged up, especially on the defensive side. They're trying to get people back as fast as they can, or maybe not as fast as they can, as much as they can for the Michigan game, more than getting them back fast. So, obviously, they've got to get healthy. From an X's O's standpoint and execution standpoint, what does Ohio State have to make progress on this week?
I think Saturday needs to be them filming a movie that's called How Egbuka Got His Groove Back. He's been back now for 2 games. I thought he was more just kind of out there against Rutgers, which is understandable. You take 3 weeks off because you're dealing with an ankle injury. You're not going to pop back out there and go for 150 yards. That's not how this works unless you're Superman or Marvin Harrison Jr. And then last week, they targeted him 5 times. He only caught 1 of them, and it still looked like he was working his way back into things. I get it. They're going to push for Marv to get the stats because he's trying to get to New York. Cade Stover has become a safety valve for Kyle McCord, the way tight ends can often be, and then Travion Henderson. But they need a Egbuka to be a Egbuka. We've made a big deal out of Marvin being the first guy in Ohio State history with 2,000-yard seasons. Well, Egbuka was supposed to join him on that race, and injuries have gotten in the way of that. If they can spend this week targeting him 7-8 times, he catches 5 of them for 100-plus yards and a touchdown, and it feels like, okay, now Emeka's back into this. That means they've got all their weapons back at full strength going into the game where they're going to need every single weapon imaginable to beat Michigan on the road. So how Egbuka got his groove back, coming to you soon to all theaters on Saturday.
Andrew, what's the thing that Ohio State needs to accomplish this week?
Well, bold of Stephen to talk about filming the week before the Michigan game. I figured that was a dicey subject. But I think Ohio State has to run the ball. Hashtag RTDB, run the dang ball. Because, and Stephen rolls his eyes, but think about the Michigan game. Think about everything. Think about the 2021 Michigan game specifically. This defense has been really good all year, and what if the weather's bad? What if you get that same situation in Ann Arbor on November 25th? That's not a situation where you can just say, you know what, we're good. It winds 20 miles an hour and it's snowing, and no worries, we'll just throw it up to Marv, because it's not going to be that easy. And defenses are going to take away Marv. Do you think Michigan's just sitting up there right now going, you know what, we'll just single cover Marv? No. They saw how that worked for Penn State. And you're in a situation where I think the Penn State games for both of these teams are illuminating. Ohio State beat Penn State 20-12. Michigan beat Penn State, was it 24-15? Both of those games had some late scores. This is going to be a low-scoring game. And what happens in those games? You got to protect the ball, and you've got to be able to run it, because we haven't seen Kyle McCord play in that type of environment yet, where you can truly give him the full reins of everything and say, go hang 30 on this team and go win. That's not where you're at with this guy. So with the running game, I mean, they've done it really well for the last couple of weeks. The Wisconsin game, the Rutgers game. Thought they ran fairly efficiently against Michigan State. If you do this now, this is a trend. This is something that you can point to as a trend. So I look at the run game and say, you've got to be able to run the ball, because if you do that, I'm feeling a lot better about their chances going into Michigan.
Yeah, it feels weird to not one of us talk about defense, I guess, because this might be the 2 best defenses in the country matching up. But because of that, I think the defense, I wouldn't say the hay's in the barn here, but they've accomplished a lot this year, and people feel pretty steady about that. So I think this is another big week for Kyle McCord. He just had the best game of his career, and I don't think he has to go out and top that. I don't think he has to go out and amaze people. I think for him, it's just another week of establishing, keep raising that baseline of where your performance is. And that doesn't have anything to do with yards and touchdowns. It has to do with decisions, and has to do with poise, and it has to do with just the reads that you make out there, the vision that you have on the field, the way that you're seeing things, the way you're reacting to things. What you see from Minnesota is going to be nothing like what you see from Michigan the next week. It's a total step up in terms of competition. Minnesota just came off a game where they gave up 49 points to Purdue, who Ohio State only gave up 7 points to. So transitive theory there tells you that this is going to be a week that Kyle McCord and this offense can maybe go out and do what they did last week. So just take that same very efficient, crisp vibe, that zip that you had last week against Michigan State, and just pull it into this next week and put away another game by the end of the first half. It's something that Ohio State has been like pushing towards all year. You've seen this offense come together all year, and now this is a week to like make a final like statement and build some confidence going into Michigan. Just a matter of, building it forward, keeping that momentum going. We're going to talk about that more on Buckeye Talk. Get that wherever you can find podcasts, and sign up now for the text 614-350-3315. It's news, updates, analysis every day from cleveland.com. You sign up right now. It's a 2-week free trial. It'll take you through the game.